From hitting rock bottom after sustaining multiple injuries that sidelined her for 2 entire NCAA tournaments, to signing one of the most lucrative deals with one of the biggest athletic brands in the world, Paige Bueckers is entering her last season of college basketball, and we're all wondering, how good is Paige Bueckers actually? There's no doubt about it, Paige has dominated the game, cementing herself in the record books with a swagger on the court that we haven't really seen in women's basketball before. But how high is her ceiling, and can she even stay healthy enough to live up to all this hype? There's only one way to find out. So hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and join us as we take a deep dive into the story of Paige Bueckers. Growing up in Hopkins, Minnesota, basketball has been a huge part of Paige's life from an early age. Her father tried to get her to try out other sports like softball, soccer, and even football, and although Paige excelled in each of those sports, she made it clear by age 5 that basketball was for her. It didn't take long for people to understand that Paige was meant to be on the court. In 4th grade, people were already noticing her impressive skills, and by 7th grade, she was already playing basketball at a level resembling more of a high school player. Bueckers wasn't the only star around at that time. She actually became friends with NBA star Jalen Suggs while in elementary school. Forming her game at a young age, Paige drew inspiration from NBA stars like LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and of course the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant, who had a hand in helping Paige through one of the most tumultuous times in her career. But we'll get to that a little later. As the years progressed, Paige was turning more and more heads as she made the high school varsity team by 8th grade. She was well on her way to establishing herself as a force on the court. As a freshman, Bueckers averaged nearly 21 points and 4.5 rebounds to go along with 4.5 steals and 4 assists per game. During her junior year, she was named the Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year and was a finalist for Gatorade National Player of the Year. In January 2018, as a sophomore, Bueckers was sidelined with an ankle injury that had been hurting her for the first 2 months of the season. Although she still averaged over 22 points and nearly 7 assists per game that year, this was just the first of many setbacks in Paige's young career that would make some speculate whether or not she'll be able to stay healthy throughout the rest of her career. But with all that being said, this was just the tip of the iceberg of Paige's high school accolades. She went on to win 3 Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year awards by the time she was ready to graduate. Paige's high school career ended with a bang as she was rated the nation's top high school recruit in 2020. That's right, she even outranked Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and Caitlin Clark. If that wasn't impressive enough, Bueckers led her team to a perfect 30-0 season while she averaged 21 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals, while she became the first female high school athlete to be on the cover of Slam magazine. At the time, only a few women like former Uconn Husky star Maya Moore and WNBA champion Candace Parker have been featured on the magazine's cover since it first launched in 1994. Now, that is some elite company to be in. Paige was one of the most anticipated players coming out of high school, and in 2019, she announced that she was committing to play basketball at Uconn under Gino Auriemma. "I think my talents will be maximized under Coach Gino," Paige told ESPN in 2019 when discussing joining Uconn's squad. "Uconn appealed to me, and it appealed to my family. As a kid, Uconn was my dream school. Seeing them win all those national titles and then visiting campus and seeing them up close, it was everything I've dreamed of and more," she explained. The standout guard started her collegiate basketball career with the Huskies in 2020. Despite the transition from high school to college ball, like a true superstar, her game only got better. In fact, she became the first player to win both the Big East Freshman of the Year and Player of the Year honors in the same season. Paige started and played in 29 games while becoming the first freshman to earn the Wooden Award, the Naismith Trophy, AP Player of the Year, and the USBWA Player of the Year. She also led her team in points, assists, steals, and 3-point field goal percentage. She was a superstar freshman who immediately lived up to the promise as the country's top recruit. As the point guard, Bueckers ranked 11th nationally in total points and 6th in total assists, leading Uconn into the NCAA tournament with hopes of making a deep run. On March 21, 2021, Bueckers recorded 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a blowout first-round victory. Her 24 points were the most by a Uconn player in their tournament debut game. Bueckers scored a game-high 28 points in a close 69-67 win over second-seeded Baylor in the Elite Eight to help Uconn reach its 13th straight Final Four. However, that's as far as Paige could take Uconn that season, as they were upset by third-seeded Arizona 69-59 and finished the season with a 28-2 record. Bueckers was named to the Final Four All-Tournament team. She also won all the National Player of the Year awards she was eligible for this season, becoming the first freshman to receive any of these awards. Prior to her sophomore season, Bueckers underwent surgery on her right ankle to repair an osteochondral defect, joint damage involving the bone and cartilage. She couldn't practice for most of the offseason while recovering from surgery, but was cleared to make a return for October and started off the season by coming out hot, recording a career-high 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in a 95-80 win against Arkansas. What seemed like a promising start for the young star ended up being interrupted by a left knee injury sustained on the court on December 5th against Notre Dame. Paige actually had to be carried off the floor by her teammates. She only played in 17 games that year due to a lateral meniscus tear and fracture. In 17 games, she had 13 starts and averaged over 14 points, with 4 rebounds and 4 assists per game. Bueckers was cleared to return to game action against St. John's on February 25, 2022. She came off the bench for the first time in her career and scored 8 points, playing only 13 minutes due to a minutes restriction in a 93-38 victory. Bueckers continued to receive limited playing time through the Big East tournament, with Paige scoring only 2 points in the championship game against Villanova. On March 28th, Bueckers led her team to a 91-87 double overtime win over top-seeded NC State in the Elite Eight, as Uconn reached its 14th consecutive Final Four. She scored a game-high 27 points on 10 of 15 shooting from the field, including 15 points in the 2 overtime periods, going to a perfect 6 of 6 from the free throw line. In the Final Four, Bueckers recorded 14 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds in a 63-58 victory against top-seeded Stanford, the defending champions, setting the stage for Paige's first shot at a national championship. In a 64-49 loss to top-seeded South Carolina, Bueckers was the only Uconn player to score in double digits as she posted 14 points and 6 rebounds in a tough title game loss. Paige was still named to the Final Four All-Tournament team, but she obviously would have much preferred a team win over this individual achievement. Motivated by coming up just short of a title, Paige was gearing up for a big comeback season, but she once again ran into injury trouble in the off-season, tearing her ACL in August of 2022. She had to miss the entire 2022 through 23 season. Paige shared the heartbreaking news of her ACL tear on Instagram, posting a series of pictures of her in Husky gear. It's so crazy because you work so hard to get back healthy. You feel stronger than ever, and you're playing your best basketball, and with one sudden movement, it all shifts. It's hard trying to make sense of it all now, but I can't help but think that God is using me as a testimony as to how much you can overcome with Him by your side. Some little kid that just tore their ACL or had a major surgery might need this story, P, because it's going to be one hell of a comeback, Paige wrote. Without Bueckers in the lineup, Uconn went 31-6 on the season, but lost to Ohio State in the Sweet 16, marking the first time since 2008 the Huskies failed to reach the Final Four. At this point, Paige's collegiate career wasn't going according to plan. Sure, we've seen flashes of her brilliance, and she's been gaining individual recognition for being a top player, but there always seems to be an injury getting in the way of her on-court success. How she dealt with this adversity is what makes Paige different from other student athletes. This is what sets her apart from other talented players. Paige was determined to work through this major injury and come out as a better player for it. Just because she couldn't work on the court didn't mean she couldn't continue to grow her game in other ways. But this wasn't something she learned on her own. In fact, she owes a lot to the Mamba mentality for getting her through the hardest time of her career so far. Drawing inspiration from Kobe, in November of 2023, Paige was finally set to make her return to the court, and she came back in a big way. 3 years and 2 major knee injuries later, Bueckers was shockingly better than we ever remembered her to be. In December, she reached 1,000 career points during her 55th game, tying Uconn legend Maya Moore as the fastest player in Husky program history to achieve this. She spent that year getting bigger, getting stronger, getting smarter, learning how to take care of herself, Coach Gino Auriemma said. So the same freshman Paige, sophomore Paige, that took us to the Final Four, that's not the Paige that's here today. On January 17, 2024, Paige posted a season-high 32 points and 7 rebounds in a 24-point win over Seton Hall, and by the end of the regular season, Bueckers was named Big East Player of the Year and was a unanimous first-team All-Conference selection. She helped Uconn win the Big East tournament, where she was named Most Outstanding Player after recording 27 points and 5 blocks in a 36-point win over Georgetown in the final. In the second round of the 2024 NCAA tournament, Bueckers tied her season high of 32 points, while recording 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a win over Syracuse. In the Elite Eight, she posted 8 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, while helping her team take down top-seeded USC, earning her regional Most Outstanding Player honors. But the sensational comeback season for Paige was cut short, all thanks to Caitlin Clark. Paige managed to score 17 points in a close 71-69 loss, but Caitlin Clark in Iowa bested Paige and the Huskies to move on to the championship game. For a second time, Bueckers was a unanimous first-team All-American, being selected to the WBCA Coaches All-American team and earning first-team All-American recognition for the Associated Press. With all these achievements under her belt, one would expect Paige to follow top players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese as they make the jump into the WNBA draft. However, on February 16, 2024, Bueckers announced that she would return to Uconn for the 2024-25 season, despite being projected as a top 3 pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. Now, why would someone with her skill and talent stay in college for one more year? She's clearly ready for the pros. Is it because she wants one more shot at winning a national championship? Or is it the fact that since Paige has been playing with Uconn, she's been making more money than the majority of the players in the WNBA? Paige received a handful of NIL deals with big companies like Gatorade, which she signed in November 2021. In fact, Paige became Gatorade's first NCAA partner, and in the announcement, the athlete said she was hoping to drive impact in the community and on the women's game. In 2022, despite her injuries, Paige had NIL deals with an estimated valuation of $824,000. Then, in September of 2023, Paige signed a multi-year NIL deal with Nike, which could potentially expand into her professional career. Paige is clearly someone brands want to be working with, as she now has deals with Cash App, StockX, Chegg, Crocs, and Bose. She's also partnered with Taco Bell, CVS, the U.S. Army, and Dunkin' Donuts. In 2023 alone, she cleared over $600,000, which is nearly 10 times the WNBA salary for a second overall pick. NIL and the transfer portal are changing the game to say the least. Most outstanding players have no urgency to go pro because they aren't broke longing for their big payday. So, if you're Paige, why wouldn't you stay one more year, make that money, and take one last shot at securing a title that will cement your legacy as one of the best players to ever play women's NCAA basketball? Do you think Paige and Uconn have what it takes to win next season? Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching our videos. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button, and if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe.